Hope you're settled and you've had a hearty lunch and are all geared up for yet another indulging session on accelerating nature-based solutions in urban India. Myself, Prerna Mehta. I am an Associate Director at WRI-India and I am your host for this session. In this session, we will launch the TheCityFix Labs Nature-Based Solution Accelerator, followed by a panel discussion. And before I dive into the context setting, I would like to invite a distinguished guest panelist on the dais. Today we have with us Mr. Ajit Kumhar IAS, Joint Principal Commissioner, Mumbai Municipal Corporation. We welcome you, sir. Mr. M. Babu Abdul Khadir, IRPS Secretary, Kochi Municipal Corporation. We have Mr. Pratik Tiwari, Founder and CEO, The Living Greens Organics Private Limited, and Dr. Victor Rana Shinde, Team Leader, Water and Environment, National Institute of Urban Affairs. Thank you for joining us today. Extreme weather conditions and unsustainable development is pushing urban India towards several vulnerabilities, such as loss of green cover, rising vulnerability to heat and flood, depleting groundwater levels, and increasing air pollution. While several efforts are being undertaken across the nation to mitigate increasing urban challenges, nature-based solution is one of the several approaches that has potential to contribute towards long-term climate resilience. Nature-based solution offers solutions for ecosystem benefits and ecological integrity. Solutions that offer benefit to urban ecosystem, including climate moderation and resilience, carbon sequestration, groundwater recharge, water recycling, and purification, among others. Community resilience and social benefits, solutions that mitigate climate risks and enhance human well-being by promoting social, cultural, recreational, and health co-benefits. Livelihood and economic benefits, solutions that enable green job opportunities, cultivating associated skills and business opportunities while maintaining resource efficiency and promoting circularity. In urban areas, NBS solution have potential to achieve lower ambient temperatures, reduction of stormwater runoff, reduction in building temperatures, and opportunity for water recycling and reuse. However, when it comes to operationalizing NBS in urban India, there are several challenges, such as nature-based solution currently is in a nascent stage in India, and hence we have limited solution providers, limited awareness and capacity to adopt, fund, implement, scale up, and maintain urban NBS. Land and coordination between relevant agencies has been a long-standing issue for cities, and NBS is not discounted from those. Long gestation period, limited funding, lack of impact measurement standards, and limited consideration for O&M. The TheCityFix Labs, through its accelerating nature-based solution platform, is attempting to resolve some of these challenges and bridge gaps in terms of opportunity, capacities, networking, etc. to facilitate NBS action on ground. Through this platform, recently WRI-India, in partnership with Tata Institute of Social Sciences and University of Mumbai, successfully concluded its first NBS accelerator, where 5 pilot nature-based solutions were deployed to showcase potential for urban farming, groundwater recharge, and wastewater treatment. Continuing this effort, today, with a distinguished panel, we are going to launch the Delhi NCR edition for NBS Accelerator. At this point, I would like to also welcome Mr. Ajit Balaji Joshi, IAS Chief Administrator, Haryana Shahari Vikas Pradhikaran. He is with us, he is joining us online. He couldn't be here in person due to an urgent official engagement. We welcome you, sir, and thank you for joining us and taking out the time. At this point, I will also invite Shri Ashok Rana, Senior Engineer Horticulture, Haryana Shahari Vikas Pradhikaran on the dais to join the panelists in inaugurating the accelerator. So please join us on the dais. Also, I would request Ms. Jaya Dhindo, Interim Director WRI-India and Program Director Integrated Development Planning and Resilience, to join us on the dais for the launch. I'm requesting all the panelists to kindly inaugurate using the clickers that are there on the table, and please point it on the screen that is in front of you for the launch. Thank you for inaugurating the accelerator today. I'll just very briefly talk about what this accelerator is about. The Delhi NCR edition 2023, this particular accelerator is undertaken in partnership with Haryana Shahari Vikas Pradhikaran, popularly called as HSVP, and will facilitate implementation of 2 pilot projects on predetermined sites in the city of Panipat in Haryana. We want to take this opportunity to thank HSVP for this partnership and opportunity. Thank you, Ajit sir and Mr. Rana, for giving us this opportunity and partnering with us for the accelerator. With this launch, the applications are now open and can be accessed from the given link. This accelerator will focus on urban nature-based solutions that can address the challenges of untreated sewage and groundwater depletion. The key intent of the accelerator is to identify and support evolving scalable business models for NBS solutions, capacitating stakeholders to widen exposure to significant role of urban NBS and promote wider adoption for the needful impacts. Opportunity for piloting scale-up urban NBS solutions, creating a network of urban NBS actors for mainstreaming NBS adopting in cities. The accelerator provides 4 distinct benefits for solution providers, namely solution showcasing, opportunity, funding, mentoring, and networking. The timeline for this accelerator spans from July 2023 till March 2025, and there are some important dates that you can see on your screen for the accelerator. The application that opens today will be closed by 14th of August 2023, and thereon we will start the process of shortlisting the potential service providers, while the winners will be announced by the end of September. With this, I will hand over the forum to my colleague Dr. Priya Narayanan, who will be moderating the panel discussion with our distinguished guests and elaborate more on the discourse of nature-based solutions in India with respect to resilience practices in cities, opportunities that NBS provides in building ecosystem for blue-green infrastructure, sustained investor support, and provisions in urban planning to ensure innovation integration.
We've been doing a fair bit of NBS over the last 3 years across different cities, and we are pushing forward with the agenda of building resilience in cities, building both climate and water resilience in cities, and also ensuring that our pilots are really demonstrating enough evidence for cities to really scale up, mainstream some of this into their policies and projects. Having said that, we've done different models, typologies of implementation, and I would just start with our city. So I'll start with our HSVP Chief Administrator. He's joining us online. So I would just request somebody to just pull him up. So in the second iteration of the TheCityFix Labs, we have Delhi NCR as a larger geographical region, and we are going to do our pilot implementation in Panipat. And good afternoon, sir. If you can hear me.
Yeah, good afternoon. I'm sorry I couldn't join offline because of we have some meeting with Governor of Punjab on Metro in Chandigarh. So first of all, let me express my gratitude to WRI and the team labs also that you have given us an opportunity to work with you in partnership. There's some network issue, looks like it's getting buff. There's a buffering going on. I hope my voice is clear and loud.
Yes, sir. Your voice is clear. Your voice is clear. So I would just start.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you, sir. I said that I would just start with the first question to you. So just highlighting Haryana's larger vision towards climate action. So your thoughts and what's really HSBP's big vision towards ensuring that we are more resilient in the future. So just some thoughts.
Thank you very much for giving us an opportunity to put our vision on the platform, which is such an important platform. First of all, I would like to tell about my organization. It is one of the prominent organizations from Haryana or NCR, which really help planning and urban development. But when urban development takes its own it's major which as on date we are having. So in HSBP we are planning one that urban forestry areas can be increased. Second, which we are really keen that we will be coming with various new concepts like carbon neutral infrastructure. We are in process to float India's first carbon neutral residential commercial sector, where we would like to have everything inside that sector, and it will be self-sustainable, self-sufficient for energy needs, water needs, and the solid waste management kind of that sector. As you are working on water issues, we have already started in Haryana a concept called Sujal. We used to do water supply for drinking purposes in urban areas in Haryana. Most of the water supplies were dependent on, while the sector was planned, it used to be dependent on groundwater discharges. So we have come up with an IoT solution where we have decided that our tertiary care should get maximum. Tertiary treated water should get maximized, and we should go as minimum as possible for groundwater discharge for drinking water purposes. We have a supply from Bakra Nangan and Yamuna reservoirs. So our target is to take that water and use it more climate friendly. In Panchkula, which is one of the cities of Haryana, last year we did an experiment that all these equipments and other things are tracked. Mr. Rana is sitting there. He's a superintendent engineer, and he was in charge of this project. So he will tell you brief after that. But in this 1 year experiment, what we did, we could save more than 1,000 crore liter of water, groundwater, more than 13 crore electricity bill, and almost 4.5 crore rupees manpower cost was saved with the help of IT and IT-enabled solutions. Environment and IT-enabled solutions should go hand in hand. It will be really helpful for bigger organizations, larger organizations like us, and public participation will also be ensured and can be tracked through that.
Thank you very much, sir. Rana sir, if you want to add on the solution itself, your experiences on the water. Sure. Thank you, sir. So I'm just going to circle back to our other city leaders here and get back to you, sir. So, Kumar sir, he's the Joint Municipal Commissioner of Mumbai. So just quick, because you have Mumbai has been part of the accelerator program, and we still are. In the monitoring phase, just in terms of the platform that Accelerator has provided, the Accelerator cycle has provided to the city, and just your reflection on that, just the engagement.
Good afternoon all. Thank you WRI and TheCityFix Labs India for inviting me, for sharing my experiences and what all we are doing in Mumbai Municipal Corporation. As we all know, Mumbai Municipal Corporation is the one of the largest municipal corporation area in terms of population, in terms of budgeted provisions, and the difficulties we face because being a coastal city having the precipitation of more than 2,500 mm per year, we have our own challenges. So as you have seen in 2005, 2014, 2017, we faced severe floods, damage to the economy as well as the damage to the assets. So there was need for the finding out the sustainable solutions, and those sustainable solutions should be the nature-based solutions. So this accelerator program, nature-based solutions accelerator program, was launched in the month of February 2022. So it was initially for the period of 2 years. So mainly focusing on the various challenges and concerns related with the air, water, and the open and green spaces as well. So our main focuses was how do we reduce the greenhouse gases emissions in terms of the carbon footprint, and in terms of the rising heat in the city of Mumbai, which is at present 0.25 centigrade per decade. So there are various solutions, but this NBS accelerator program provided us a platform where we can have various innovative solutions, and those solutions we were looking for the sustainable solutions. Uh, Firstly, organic farming, which is very important in terms of sustainability in urban areas as well as the elsewhere also. Mumbai being the city of high-rising buildings, we have a space constraint. So our schools, basically education department, I'm getting. So our schools, we lack spaces in schools. So how do we utilize those space? So with the NBS solution provider, we devised this urban rooftop terrace farming, which is portable in nature. So that was one major initiative we took in three main schools, our main schools, and after the success of three main schools, this year we are scaling it to the 250 schools. So it's a big achievement in terms of the outcome. Apart from that, groundwater recharge is another area where we are facing the groundwater depletion in Mumbai city. So how do we use this surface drainage? So we have devised this with the help of LBS solution provider, siphonic surface drainage system, where we can recharge the water without using any electricity or pressure pumps. Apart from this, wastewater treatment is major area with the solution provider, and with the help of IIT as well as Mumbai University. At one point, we are able to tackle this problem of wastewater treatment and the restoration of the urban ecological restoration of water bodies in urban area. It's another thing which is neglected in so many years. So we have worked in all these four areas since last 2 years, and the results are very positive as well as the optimistic. So I think this solution provider has given us a hope that we can tackle these solutions and the challenges of climate change. Apart from this, I think WRI is working with us since last 10, 12 years in various areas, environment, gardening, and all those areas. Miyawaki plantation we have in BMC areas where we are planting. We have done the plantation of nearly 6 lakh trees through Miyawaki. So constraint of space is also there, but these innovative solution providers are able to handle these constraints with an optimistic outlook.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you for highlighting, how these solution providers have really gained the confidence of the city, and how they are going to be enrolled in a way or empaneled in a way for the 250 schools. And also you highlighted about the different things over the last 2 years Mumbai corporation is doing, and ecological restoration of water bodies, and basically the thinking towards effective climate action. I think that's really great that, I mean, a lot of action or thought is being put towards that. I would just take this conversation and move towards, so Mumbai and Kochi are cities for forest. Globally, there's the platform, Cities for Forest initiative. Kochi was a founding member. Mumbai is also a partner member. We have Hyderabad, Mumbai, and Kochi. So I will move on to the next city, Kochi, who is a flagship city. And this would really like to share, if you would share, sir, on the reflections of how Kochi and the Kawaki initiative, how it has been able to steer and help really think and mainstream, even at the budgetary allocation level, about climate action. So thoughts. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for giving this opportunity to tell us about the works of our corporation. Like many other states and Kerala is exemplary state in a way that the policies are totally guided by political representation than the bureaucratic approach which is being practiced in many other states. So, in the cities for forest concept also, our honorable mayor had a dream project called HEAL, HEAL Kochi. HEAL is Health, Environment, Agriculture and Livelihood. So, when we talk about circularity, circular economy and circularity, this the pet project of our honorable mayor had all components in it. So, when WRI proposed the Mayawaki forest, says it is for forest concept, our mayor took it forward as Kawaki. Even the name, vernacular name was given. Kawaki in Malayalam means Kawa means forest and Aki means you create, you make. So that people participation happens when they feel a part of anything which you take it to them. So that was the purpose of even the name was decided in such a way. And 15 locations have been identified. All 15 are climate vulnerable locations throughout the city. And there were 15 vulnerable locations identified, and at every location it was a point made that biodiversity will be ensured. Not one species, multiplicity of species of trees were handpicked by a team of experts containing local public, our public representatives, the corporators, team of experts from WRI and also from Kerala Forest Research Institute. So that made a huge difference when most of the cities may be practicing a similar format, but the success of this particular project came with an addition of making it a livelihood project by including, like we have a MNREGS scheme in other states for rural livelihood program. Kerala has an urban livelihood program in the name of Ayangali. So that component was integrated to Kawaki, and that is being run as a very successful model, mainly because of the public partnership. And I would personally and wholeheartedly thank WRI team for funding and being an integral part of that initiative.
Thank you very much, sir. So, just for everyone's attention, so the Secretary of Corporation, Kochi Municipal Corporation and Mayor, they were instrumental in ensuring that the Kawaki sites, 4 of the 14 Kawaki sites, we had an immediate facilitation of this Ayangali mission. So, Kudumbashri workers or the local self-help group of Kerala, so they are being paid the work days, depending on number of work days, etc. But they are being paid through the Urban Employment Guarantee Scheme for maintenance of the Kawaki site. So this is one step towards taking really local, locally, it's more like locally based adaptation, on ground livelihood creation, etc. So just again, for the lack of time, I'm just jumping to the other city in Jaipur, where we have done a fair bit of implementation. And I would so Pratik Tiwari, who is the CEO of Living Greens, he's also has been closely part of what we've been doing in Jaipur and Mumbai. But Pratik, I would really want you to highlight a little bit on similar models what we've done in Jaipur, especially the implementation in Jaipur and just the environment around it. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. A big thank you to the WRI team for giving us this opportunity to talk about our modest work, and I'm feeling absolutely privileged to be given this opportunity to sit on the same stage as eminent people like Kumbar Sahab. He's a visionary officer, and we have had the privilege of working with him in Mumbai also. We did a very unique project in Jaipur, and this was with the Jaipur Central Jail. So in the Jaipur Central Jail, there are barracks. The inmates, they are not living in rooms, they are living in barracks. And they are low ceiling structures. And when Jaipur sizzles, it sizzles like hell. So you're talking about 2,000 people who are living in low ceiling structures, low ceiling barracks. And on top of it, they had this very large ground which was absolutely barren. And it was barren for a very strange reason. It was barren because it was called the Fasi Ghar. That means that's where the people with the death sentence, they were taken there, and that's where they were hung, to put it shortly. So now this area was barren, and when we took the heat signature of that area, we realized that this whole thing is heating up like an oven. You know, you have a barren area, then you have these low ceiling structures, the environmental temperatures are climbing up to 45 degrees, and sure enough, the inmates have nothing to say about it. I mean, they are thinking that that's a part of their sentence. Okay, that's a part of the torture that they have to go through. So we decided to create a team of inmates, and we decided to convert that area into an organic vegetable farming patch. So we created a team of about 20 inmates. Some of them are lifers, some of them are people who are just going to get free in about 6 months of time. And we converted that entire area. So we used a raised bed farming technique, and we converted that entire area into an organic vegetable gardening patch. And I can tell you, this one little initiative, honestly, even I was not aware that it would have such a big impact on everybody. It had an impact on me. It changed my life. It was a very, very unique experience for me. Although it was very difficult to explain to my team members and to my parents that, you know, whenever they would ask me where are you going, I would say मैं jail जा रहा. So it was a little strange. But now this team of 20 inmates, they were able to produce over a period of 4 to 5 months, they were able to produce more than 3,000 kgs of organic vegetables. And that is the kind of quantity that is required in their jail canteen or their jail mess. So with just one initiative, the jail became self-reliant in producing its own food. The inmates learned a new skill, and this experience changed my life because I learned so many things from those people who are spending their lives behind those walls. So I want to thank WRI for this initiative, and it's been a great initiative. Thank you.
So I think the entire implementation within the jail compound, it was also a very different section of the society that we had reached out to and addressed, and there was uptake from different stakeholders within the compound itself, from the inmates to the superintendent to the director general of prison. So everybody was keen, and they are really and the reflection that we heard, like the teaching mentioned. So it's very different to work inside the jail compound. It was very different experience, and most of the inmates were considering it as an act of reformation for them. So it was very touching to see how smaller interventions really can change the mental well-being of people as well. So just moving again from our cities, and these were our areas that we have implemented: Mumbai, Kochi, and Jaipur. I would move my question to Jaya. We have demonstrated 25 plus pilots across cities in India, and in terms of the innovation environment, like how do you think you've been able to influence and the entire outlook of NBS in cities in India with stakeholders around us?
Thanks Priya, thank you everyone. So I think we were just having a discussion a little earlier to say that the biggest problem, and most of these are sort of adaptation resilience projects, and some of the biggest problems is that while it is easy to productize mitigation oriented projects, whether it's solar panels, EV or whatever it is, it's easy to productize, it's easy to aggregate their impact, it is easy to kind of measure their impact and all of that. For adaptation projects, that becomes very difficult. So I think one of the things, by doing these 25 projects, I think one of the things that we are achieving is we are finding ways to pilot these, to kind of show the sort of proof of concept, but also productize them so that other people can take it up, other cities can imagine these projects within them. So just to give you an example, in addition to what everyone said, in addition to sort of the Kawaki that happened in Kochi and sort of the work that's been happening in Mumbai on urban NBS, and also the work that's happening in jails with urban farming and organic farming. This has been done in schools as well, like Mr. Kumar mentioned, but there's also two other solutions. For example, we were looking at stream cleaning, and Demnian Solutions came in and they've done a stretch near IIT Mumbai, and they've demonstrated how this can be done, how it can be made sustainable, how it can be done at a low cost, and how the operations and maintenance can be kind of cannot be like overbearing for the people who are handling this project. Another one is basically like the siphoning system, for example. Now, when we talk about nature-based solutions, the thing is that is it all green? Are you talking about water? Are you talking about greens? And I think our thesis was that essentially nature-based solutions are solutions by the nature, for the nature, of the nature, right? So if they're performing these services and then if they're giving you the co-benefits that you seek, they are within the ambit of nature-based solutions. And therefore, some of these projects which are maybe a little technology-oriented, but simple technologies, mechanical, systems, which enable sort of groundwater recharge and all have come into being. I think so. This was, in terms of sort of scales and typologies that we have been, demonstrating, that we have been working with, and trying to see how they fit within cities. I think things that will kind of, which we hope are going to happen and take this forward, are things like SOPs. Cities need to know that in order to now scale these projects, what are the kind of standards, the operation procedures, the kind of specifications that you need to be able to onboard these solutions. Because currently the grey infrastructure sort of the RFPs which are geared towards grey infrastructure sometimes don't allow for the onboarding of these solutions while they may exist and while they may provide the proof of concepts of how they work very very nicely. So I think that's one. The other is looking at sort of guidelines and policies. Because I think policies sometimes are really clear signaling by the government to say that they are interested in these kind of projects. I think working at that level is important. In Kochi, for example, we've worked with sort of the guidelines for risk resilience, and that has been adopted by the city. So looking at how do you approach disaster management from sort of a preparedness and resilience sort of angle rather than just rescue and recovery. So that's another thing. And finally, of course, it boils down to finance and governance. At the end of the day, there are institutional structures which need to be reimagined, that need to be created for some of these solutions to kind of see through their entire life cycle for them to be sustainable. So those are the things that we need to work on. The governance structures are often not replicable. So what works in a Kochi or what may work in a Mumbai may not work in another situation. And we have to understand that we have to drive context-driven solutions. It's not a one-size-fits-all. So I think that's where.
Thank you, Shreya. I think context-driven solutions and just the rigidity of some of the structures. I think I mean structures are for a reason, so we do understand that. But how to really bring innovation into the existing structures, and Jay mentioned about guidelines and SOPs, and I think for integrating NPS into the current cities. The way they are functioning, I think we definitely need to put forward some of these guidelines and SOPs. And just, I think this is a great way to ask Victor the question. So we have all the cities and WRI talks about the pilots, but just to you, Victor, there is limited, this is a little more larger question because there is limited attention given to adaptation as such, adaptation finance. But have you come across any adaptation measures? This is more in the city context, which is which has scalable potential, and how can that be facilitated, integrated in the city's context?
Thank you very much, Priya, and thank you very much also to WRI for inviting NIUA to this event. For those of you who don't know, NIUA, we are the think tank of India's Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. Okay, and a lot of our work, is directly aligned to cities, creating an enabling environment for our cities to move up the economic ladder in a sustainable way. So, so I'll just get to your question in a bit, Priya, because we've heard a lot about the actual projects in cities that have been implemented when it comes to nature-based solutions, which are a fantastic tool for climate change adaptation. But I just want to zoom out a little bit and talk about how in association with the National Mission for Clean Ganga, how we have actually created an enabling environment for one of these natural elements, to be managed in a more sustainable manner. And this is on urban rivers, right? Now, river may not be the best thing to talk today, given what we are facing here in Delhi. But the thought for this actually came from one of the meetings in which the Prime Minister said that there is a need for new thinking in river cities. And when we got back to the office and we were kind of discussing this amongst ourselves, we thought, why did he say that? And I think one of the reasons why he perhaps said that was, until now, the sole intention of managing an urban river in India has been to control the pollution. And that is all, city managers, pretty much it's synonymous with pollution control. Right? And that's the narrative that we thought we should be changing. So we came up with this framework, which is called the Urban River Management Plan Framework, which essentially is, how do you protect your urban rivers, from multiple perspectives. Pollution control is important, and I'm not contesting or undermining the importance of pollution control, but at the same time, there are far more things, that need to be considered when looking at rivers, looking at economics, looking at the social aspects. In a nutshell, looking at the river as a system of interconnected elements, and then river management is essentially managing this system. This also kind of stemmed from the fact that when we talk about river management, we always look at the basin approach, right? And rightly so. River always should be looked, at a basin scale, right? But the operationalization of a basin management approach will always be at a city, right? Because here is where the actions are taken. Because most of the issues, most of the, let's say, the detrimental state of rivers are because of cities. So cities also have to play a role in the solution as well. So with this aspect, when we started up with this framework, and it was launched sometime in, I think, 2020. It was a voluntary effort for cities to kind of adopt this framework and prepare their river management plans. We piloted this in the city of Kanpur, where, and now coming to your question, I think a number of these nature-based solutions, actually were implemented. These involved, of course, rejuvenating drains, through bioremediation, phytoremediation techniques. So if you look up the Urban River Management Plan for Kanpur, where you find this, very prominently highlighted. Also reviving a lot of water bodies. I think there were 3 water bodies for which designs were given, in that whole plan. So the thing I actually wanted to kind of emphasize on here was why river management, is pretty much considered the government's job. It's considered, a state responsibility or a responsibility of a city government. The management approach, that has been promulgated, through the Urban River Management Plan Framework, is a joint accountability mechanism, where citizens also need to take the onus of action. It can't be only the government's job, right? So, which is why in Kanpur, a very interesting initiative that I hope they're still doing it, but we had kind of instituted was a group of school students actually monitoring the river water quality. There's some training given to them, and we experimented a little bit with macroinvertebrates. That didn't work out that well, but then we had to rely on some traditional techniques of monitoring. Right? But the point is, I think once, and I think one of our colleagues also kind of pointed out, right? I think once people start getting involved, in the process, then it becomes a lot more fruitful, a fruitful endeavor, to manage the entire ecosystem. So since then, there are, I think, around 7 or 8 cities that have actually adopted this framework. They're preparing their river management plans, which also then inspired us to launch something called as a River Cities Alliance. Right? So here I'm just talking about the enabling environment, right? So that is, while projects are important, it's also important to create that enabling environment where cities can learn from each other. Nature-based solutions, and I think as Priya pointed out, Prerna pointed out in the presentation a little while earlier, this is a new thing. Cities are still understanding what nature-based solutions are, right? And the best way for them to learn is to learn from each other. Right? You may have a hall full of people, in a formal capacity building program. But practical experiences will teach you more, than formal training. And that River Cities Alliance is precisely for that, right? For cities to learn, how another city has done it, and hopefully inspire them, to take on greater action. Right?
So with that, I'll just stop here, Priya, and come back to things.
Thank you, Victor, and thanks for highlighting about the importance of peer learning, peer exchange, and and also these smaller with the group of schools that you've done on monitoring river pollution. I think these smaller interventions or projects go a really long way in understanding. And like you rightly said, I think we focus always on the pollution aspect of the river, but there's a lot more to just the river geomorphology itself that flows through a city and how it needs to be tackled. So I think we should probably get there soon if we really want to give the city the space to grow and also the river the space to flow. So just parking some of the thoughts here, and I would move back to the Chief Administrator HSBP. So it's online and you can hear us. Sir, if you're online, can you hear us?
Yeah, it's really important measure, primarily because NCR is the largest urban kind of area in India. Yeah, fastest growing urban area in India. So we really require these kind of initiatives. It will really help. Primarily, it will have a question of people at large. The young crowd will be participating, and as I mentioned earlier, that those solutions can come where IT and other are inbuilt. It will really make public participation, but it will extend that public participation. So I personally think that in the area which we have chosen at the region is Panipat. It's one of the most polluted cities in Haryana. It has dust pollution, it has water pollution, it is handloom hub of Haryana. I remember long back when I was posted in Panipat as under trainee when I joined service in 2004. I have held one survey along with Pollution Control Board and with the help of WaterAid, the UK-based NGO, and we found that the water table is totally polluted to that extent that groundwater discharge is showing various colors because the dyeing industry is used to pour and to fill or to set in the not treated water inside the groundwater itself or groundwater areas itself. So primarily speaking, this will create a major hub. It is India's biggest naphtha cracker area, where India has the biggest refinery there. So it is a win-win situation for industry, for people at large, and for understanding of. We have a very big old thermal plant which is closed now, which is to create major air pollution also. So now it's closed by the government, but still the dust, huge dust is there. So we really require these initiatives there, and if awareness will be created, public participation will be ensured, it will make a big difference. I'm pretty sure.
Thank you very much, sir, and thanks for highlighting about we've chosen these places in deep consultation with HSBP and the different engineers across Panipat and across the different departments, and also we've done a fair bit of data assessments to understand like really what are the on-ground realities, and we do know that water quality in Panipat has been very poor, and this is some of the back-end work that we do to understand the potential of pilot implementation in that space. Having said that, I just want to jump to Kumar sir for just so what has been you shared about the accelerator, how it's been able to spur these different pilots across, but in terms of your experience, in terms of the challenges and learnings for integrating these kind of newer innovation into your system, so some experience and feedback you can share.
So last 2 years, the NVS Accelerator program, whatever we have done in Mumbai. Most of these projects are limited to some pilot projects. So scaling up those projects in terms of across the Mumbai region will be a crucial point for our outcomes, because there are various restrictions, as many of these speakers they already told that there are limitations in terms of the administrative outcomes. There are various stakeholders involved. Mumbai Municipal Corporation is a local body. There are elected representatives are there. Apart from that, various stakeholders like corporate bodies are there, private organizations are there, students are there, and citizens, most important, the citizens. So any project's outcome depends on its sustainability, and sustainability is determined by the people's participation. Community participation should be at the core of any project, because if we put n number of money in any project and people are not ready to own that project, then it will not be a success. I will give you some examples. Every year, Mumbai undertakes this river cleaning project. We call it as silt removing before the monsoon onset. So, millions of metric tons of silt is removed by Mumbai Municipal Corporation, but still, in many areas, after 200 meters of millimeters of heavy precipitation in 24 hours, waterlogging happens in many areas. This happens because there are various behavioral issues related with the citizens also. So across the river line, there are various n number of slum areas, and apart from slums, there are so many people who are going there, and they are just dumping their garbage in the rivers. So that is creating continuous inflow of this garbage, and there is limitation for the corporation to clean that garbage. So any project, if we speak in terms of the outcome down the line 10 years, so it's all about people's participation, community ownership, and the engagement of various stakeholders. Stakeholders from the citizen background, stakeholders from the NGO, stakeholders from the technology providers. So all these stakeholders comes together, and they think that we have to change the scenario of the city, and whatever we envisage, Mumbai Climate Action Plan. So we have Mumbai Climate Action Plan, where we have set up some goals by 2030, by 2040, and by 2050, which is zero carbon emission, zero greenhouse gases emission by 2050. So all these goals will be achieved only if sustainable solutions are having the backup of the community participation. Uh, whether these projects are related with the urban greening, sustainable wastewater treatment, energy related solution, integrated mobility, or any. These projects will be successful only if we have some sustainable inputs regarding in terms of people's participation, as well as the various stakeholder participation. Apart from this, technical expertise is also a very important point, because we are in the stage of evolving as a country, where we are paying attention to the environment, where we are paying attention to the urban greening, which was neglected area since last 10, 12, 20 years, 30 years. So at this moment, if this transition is happening, we require some technical expertise, because we have a constraint of space constraint, budget constraint is also there. So these solutions should be a cost-effective solutions. Anything which we are doing on a pilot basis, if it involves huge cost, then it will not be able to scale up in terms of larger approach. So all these aspects are very much important, and we have learned this in last 2 years.
Thanks, Kumar sir, for highlighting those different aspects, especially on co-creation, collaboration, and keeping people at the center. And of course, you highlighted a very important thing, which is the behavior shift. And I think that's increasing awareness at different scales. And it's just not the people, but across different stakeholder groups. And I think one of the things we did through the previous iteration of the accelerator, just for our cohort, just like, understanding just the behavior, just to understand why NPS, who NBS, for what, and where is your mind and heart placed at when it comes to NBS. We did a masterclass, and we do hope to kind of repeat it, just to expand within the at least solution providers base and other stakeholders. Just the idea of NBS. Not just the implementation bit, but just the understanding of really nature at the core of everyone's heart. So I would just actually, this is a parallel question, so I would want to move to Jaya before I move to the other speaker. So, and Sir spoke about the government, just the engagement bit of it, how it should be. And Jaya, if you could share your thoughts on what support, like moving forward, like So what support do cities, what do we keep in terms of what cities need to do in terms of taking up these NBS activities or initiatives forward, and what support do we look for or seek from cities to move forward in NBS?
So I think two things also. When the TheCityFix Labs basically started, this started in 2017, and over there we had started. Our first iteration was about, looking at de-risking pilots around wastewater and energy solutions, and then looking at ways to scale them. Like I said earlier, so water, energy, there were like some standard solutions, software-based solutions. Those were easy to find, solution that cities could take on, that they could then scale and have as part of their, their RFP processes, etc. Did not require major modifications to kind of onboard a lot of these solutions. Waste was a different matter altogether. So as we kind of did that, and the first cohort that we had about I think 10 solutions if I remember correctly. And within the first year of kind of graduating from that accelerator, they had together raised about 22 million in funding. So that was, like I said, that was money which was easy to come. These were sort of very productized mitigation solutions. Then when we got a little braver and we decided to look at nature-based solutions, it was sort of an exploration that we thought is very needed. It's urgent because of the kind of climate situation that we are in and the urbanization that we are in, the unplanned sort of urbanization situation that we are in, which is exacerbating all of the climate events which keep happening across cities. We said, all right, let's look at nature-based solutions and how do you kind of scale that? How do you provide proof of concepts? And that was a completely different ballgame when we got into it, with that in Mumbai, because over there we realized we were dealing with sort of low return rates on these solutions that were going out. The risks were non-transparent. Nobody knew. We didn't know. People didn't know what to expect. There was a lack of sort of bankable solutions that that we could pitch to cities or pitch to any kind of financial and funding agencies to say these are the things that you should work with. And also we realized that where the energy and water solutions were straight because it was this department is responsible and this department is responsible. When we came to nature-based solutions, we realized that there is a siloed approach, especially in terms of the way funds are allocated, and there is no incentive for departments to coordinate. And these are the kind of solutions which most of all require sort of these multi-sectoral, cross-boundary solutions, and how do you make it work? So the other thing was that also this whole thing about monitoring and measuring frameworks are absent, right? We don't really have ways to measure the impact of these solutions. What are they getting at, whether it's economic, environmental, or social benefits, also the downsides, the unintended sort of negative consequences. So these were the kind of things, or these are the kind of things that we are up against, and this is what I think slowly is what we are kind of getting to, and with the Mumbai accelerator, I think that is what we were trying to do. And I think with the Delhi accelerator now, the hope is that TheCityFix Labs can look at providing sort of integrated solutions, and how do we get sort of this coordinated effort across departments, and not just across departments but across stakeholders happening. How do we look at this not just from the first practice standpoint to say, okay, here's the proof of concept, but what are the frameworks that will allow for the scaling of such solutions? And then looking at sort of business models, most importantly, so that you can attract further funding and take it forward. And I think finally also looking at sort of MEL frameworks. And this is where I think it is not just, we've realized that in order to get to all of this, it's not just the prerogative of city departments or a certain agency. That it's very nebulous because who do you pick? You pick the gardens department, the water department, who do you pick, right? Everyone has to work together. And it was many stakeholders beyond just city agencies. It's private stakeholders, they have a role to play, citizens, communities, they have a role to play. So I think bringing all of that together, and I think where government and city agencies will really be able to help is creating that enabling network for us to be able to leverage this platform to then scale the solutions that we're talking about here today. Thanks.
For highlighting the enabling network environment that needs to be created to push work in the sector forward. But I would just again want to kind of close the loop with going to Pratik Tiwari. So he's one of the solution providers. So just what really through the accelerator platform, what really you've been able to achieve as a solution provider, and what's your thoughts on that?
So we were very fortunate to be a part of the TCFL cohort, the Mumbai cohort, and we got an opportunity to do school farming in a BMC school in Chembur, in Collector Colony BMC school. And the most important outcome is that, as Kumar sir has just shared with you, the BMC has decided to take this concept to over 250 schools. So it is because of the opportunity given by the accelerator that we have been able to, garner this kind of bigger opportunity. So I attribute this success to the opportunity that was given by the accelerator.
Thank you, Prateek. So just highlighting this entire ecosystem. So while accelerators is probably one of the models where you can really bring forth and matchmake between the solution provider and what really institutions need, and also demonstrate, like really place-based specific interventions that NPS does, and also the larger kind of local, say heat or flood that particular solution will help mitigate, and also the opportunities for scaling up by cities and other stakeholders forward. So just I would just go back to Victor. So your expectation from a forum and accelerator, and I know you're part of the River City Alliance, but what really what kind of efforts should people really make to use this platform and engage different stakeholders, how they should really capitalize, if I can use that word, to step up using the accelerator platform. Thank you.
Thank you, Priya. First of all, I think this accelerator program is a great idea. I remember having a discussion with Prerna some time back, about this whole thing. One of the things that I feel, the accelerator program must look at, is to address a very pertinent need, in the city. I think one of the cities that you pointed out was Panipat, right? I remember 2 months ago, the commissioner of Panipat had called me up, and they have a problem with the depleting groundwater level. So Panipat has close to 2,000 tube wells that they run, right? And the commissioner was worried that at the rate that they're pumping groundwater, it is certainly an unsustainable model. Right? Now, if the accelerator program can actually provide solutions to them, so now you are directly aligned with what the city wants. Right? So we work with a lot of cities, and I think the city actually sees the buy-in, when a very relevant need is addressed. Right? See, also when it comes to nature-based solutions, right? So this is the age of nature-based solutions. Right? So a little while ago, I think Jai was mentioning the water energy nexus or the water energy food nexus. That was some time back. Before that, we had integrated water resource management. Right? So with every period, there's a certain philosophy that is propagated, and now is the time when nature-based solutions are being done, right? And it is not that there is no action being done. I think even the governments are taking a lot of effort on this right now. If you look at Delhi NCR, the Delhi Jal Board and the Irrigation Control Department, last I know they were rejuvenating almost 256 water bodies, across the city. Right? A lot of afforestation that is happening. Right? So for the accelerator program, it's important to kind of stand out, right? Create a niche for itself, which then not just improves the visibility, okay, but also inspires a lot of action in similar areas. So I think from that perspective, the accelerator program is great, right? And I can commit on NIU's behalf also. We'd be very happy to be associated with this and see how the learnings of this program can then be taken up to the River Cities Alliance. Thanks.
And I think the last bit you mentioned about translating these learnings. So very often in the urban MBS kind of environment, that is something that it's a little rare. We have a lot of examples across the peri-urban rural scales, but just to understand how these, and it's even more localized because the scale is very small and it's very context specific and it's very stakeholder driven and kind of what you really need for your environment around. So Thanks for sharing that. And I would now finally move to Secretary Kochi Corporation. Sir, if you could highlight, you did share about your experiences on Kawaki, and if you could highlight what really Kochi is moving towards, what kind of activities in terms of taking efforts towards MBS or at large nature at the heart of your planning process. So just if you could share some thoughts in.
If anyone among the crowd is following Malayalam movie industry for last 3 decades, there are two constant things. One, first constant thing is that there are only two superheroes, mega stars, who have been there for the last 3-4 decades. The second thing is that you can see the width of the roads. When they show Kochi or Trivandrum, the two major cities of Kerala, the width of the roads remain the same. When me and my wife shifted from Delhi to Kerala, initially we were finding it very difficult. And when we see these movies together, we were thinking that why Kerala did not go for development. Because in our perspective, development of a city means widening of roads and nothing more than that. We are very short-sighted. Then I had a very brief discussion with my mayor. He told that one of his favorite mayors, previous mayors, told him that constructing more roads and flyovers will only bring more cars. It doesn't mean actual development per se in their perspective. At that point of time, also I was not very much convinced when my mayor told me what he perceives as development. Then our corporation has come up with a solution for transporting people. Basically, we need roads only to transport people and not transporting cars. Kochi is a place which has more than 30% of the geographical area with water bodies. What if we have canals instead of roads? And what if we have water metros and gondolas instead of cars? That was the idea behind Kochi's proposed transportation system. Why should Venice have all the fun when similar canals and inland water transportation can be developed in our city? Under this present council, this has been very much mooted, and we are going for a canal rejuvenation project for Kochi that will create a better transportation model. I would very consciously put it as not a sustainable model of development, because all forms of development in Kerala are inherently sustainable model of development only. We need not use that additional prefix to our sustainable models. No offense to other states, this is what has been perceived as a development in the state. So that was the idea of inland navigation is going to become the future of Kochi. Probably in a couple of years, 2 to 3 years down the line, we'll be having more water metro. What we have water metro today is only a trailer of what is going to come in the next couple of years.
Thank you, sir, and for highlighting the landscape of Kochi and how you're planning to work around the landscape, which is probably a great example of local adaptation per se. If you're able to work around what's there, and we'd be really happy to see more water-based transportation in Kochi. So just moving forward to HSVP administrator. So if you're online, you can hear us. So in terms, we did ask you about Haryana's big vision towards climate action and what really the accelerator would bring. But in terms of really this big thing on operation and maintenance, sir, because this accelerator again is going to be like a 2-year period, and then it has to be taken on by HSBP. So in terms of this model, this O&M model, like moving forward and like the long-term sustenance of NBS solutions like this. So just your thoughts and thoughts on this. So just how do we like take it on forward? Because we really need reflections from government stakeholders at this point in ensuring that some of these are embedded. I mean, we can do pilots and we can demonstrate with the accelerator, but just to ensure the sustenance of the model. So just some thoughts on that, sir.
From our side, we are very keen. We are committed. Obviously, it has to be implemented to that larger extent. Government has to play a very important role, and we are committed to play that role. So let these experiments, let these small POCs may happen, and we will certainly take a call. When is one issue, we would like to escalate this number or scale to a very high level. And as I mentioned that we are a very big organization, we were responsible in past also for organization and planning in Haryana. We are committed for now sustainable and climate friendly organization in future. So for maintenance and operation as well as for new planning and taking those POCs or taking these experiments to the larger level, it will be our commitment from our side. We are committed enough.
Sure, sir. Thank you for that acknowledging our accelerator and also for kind of sharing your vision on definitely commitment towards O&M after the project period and in general that HSBP takes a lot of these projects and yeah, thanks for sharing that. So I would go back to Kumbarji. And sir, in terms of the what's happening in Mumbai, the solutions that we have implemented, just in terms of the working together. So you did mention earlier about this, co-creating, collaborating, and people being the center of this. But really, again coming back to the question on long-term sustenance and ensuring that civil society and everybody is part of this. Like, what really, in your opinion, is making things work or not work? Like, how can we take this forward? Because we all talk about collaboration and co-designing, etc., and it does work. I mean, all the pilots and most of the projects are co-designed and implemented together. But in terms of just maintaining or ensuring that it is maintained for the life of the project or for whatever it has to give back to us. So just some thoughts about what generally is happening, and not necessarily the projects that we did, but just in general any of the ecosystem-based projects that's there.
So looking at the major takeaways from the what we have done in last 2 years in this accelerator program. So as I earlier also said that if we reflect those outcomes in our policy making, then it will be mainly responsible for future outcomes. So for example, a major takeaway from the urban greening in terms of Miyawaki plantation, we are able to see localized reduction in terms of temperature rise. So this year we have made it compulsory for the plot sizes of having 10,000 or more, 10,000 square feet area or more. Out of that, 5% will be kept reserved for the Miyawaki plantation. So it's compulsory for all the establishments, whether it is government establishment, private establishment. So this is one example. Apart from this, now we are in the stage of designing a green curriculum for the schools based on Singapore model. So green curriculum will be taking these school kids to the close to the nature, to the river streams, and to the waste management facilities, waste recycle facilities, because these are the future generations. So this green curriculum will also help. So apart from this, another policy initiative which we have taken in last 2 years is this to tackle the floods and the waterlogging. We have made it compulsory for the developments or redevelopments of size 2,000 square meter or more having their own detention tanks. So before they release that surface runoff into stormwater drains of the corporation. So these sort of policy initiatives are there, but these policy initiatives backed by the some incentives will also help people's participation. So that encouragement we are also providing. So there is a concept of Green Mumbai Fund also. So Green Mumbai Fund is basically to motivate the corporate sector, to motivate the NGOs, to motivate the private individuals to incorporate some of the green solutions such as vertical gardening of their buildings, groundwater recharge or rainwater harvesting, or going for the green buildings, LED lights. So these small initiatives at the level of every individual will reflect in a large success if it is done by everyone. So this sort of incentivizing various stakeholders is also we are doing. So these collective efforts, I think, will pay us major outcomes in near future.
Thank you, sir. I think really, I think policy backed by incentives definitely something we really need to ensure happens for especially these NPS kind of solutions to really stand the test of time. So just moving from you to Victor again. So in terms of the different approaches in tier 1 and tier 2 cities, I mean, they're in terms of the sheer scale of it and what happens within the what happens within the city's environment itself is so different. So where do you kind of situate this NPS, and how do you think that how different or how similar? I know NPS is context specific, but in just general your experience.
Thank you, Priya. Yeah, you're absolutely right. You see, when it comes to NBS, of course, it has its utility in smaller cities and larger cities as well. But I think the difference here is the approach that we take. And again, just based on my experiences, in larger cities, there is good competition for MBAs. Okay, I just, a month ago or so, I was in Pune, and there was I was called to actually witness a technology that is able to reduce the pollutant load from 400 BOD to 5 BOD. It's a compact STD, a very, very small compact STD, right? Now, when you have such a technology, right, it becomes very, very attractive to administrators. Right? Because this can actually solve your problem, in a jiffy. Of course, it has a very high capital cost, but if you're willing to invest, into that kind of a technology, right? So now, nature-based solutions, to sell nature-based solutions, or to kind of promote nature-based solutions, we require a very different approach there. So here the approach, I think in our experience, has been to highlight the multifaceted benefits that nature-based solutions do provide. Right? Technology, engineering solutions, and I have nothing against engineering solutions, right? Well, they are great, but they're monofunctional in so many ways. Right? They give you one single benefit, which is fine. Right? But in the larger cities, I think that is the thing that we that kind of work is when an administrator is able to see that multifaceted benefit, the multidimensional nature of nature-based solutions. So that actually creates a case. Right? Because see, anyway in larger cities there's a space crunch. You can't have a separate solution for different things that you need. Right? So when you have one solution that actually can cater to a number of demands, that in some ways kind of makes it a little bit more attractive, right? In smaller cities, and we have worked in quite a few of these smaller cities as well. What we found is, I think there's a greater appetite. Okay, primarily of course because of availability of land. That's one. Okay, also reduced costs, and of course land jurisdictions and all will have to they kind of need to be sorted out. And more importantly, because the magnitude of the problem is slightly lesser in smaller cities. Going back to the larger cities, there was one city, and I don't want to take the name of the city. I'm fearful some of you may be from that city here. I'm just joking, right? So we actually tried out a proper nature-based solution with phyto remediation to rejuvenate one particular drain. The problem was it had an 800 BOD, biochemical oxygen demand, and that somehow did not work. Right? So in such cases, I think we'll have to go for hybrid solutions. Right? So of course, nature-based has its application, but you still need mechanical solutions, to address that magnitude, the intensity of the problem. Right? So I think, like I said, the approach that we take in two cities is really important, and I think it is that approach that will dictate, the future of nature-based solutions in our cities.
Thank you, Victor. And I think I'm not going to spend time on expanding anymore. So just opening the floor for questions. And I do see a lot of hands. So you can help me with that.
Well, I'll begin with the lighter side. So next time when you and I go to Kerala, one important thing that we have to do is both of us have to do a good lot of exercise so that we'll fit on the roads there. That's just on the lighter side. And coming to the core point that I wanted to stress, well, the forum here was stressing on the rivers, the pollution in the rivers and so on. But what surprises me and amuses me for this tender age of 60 years, that we have never given respect for prevention as better than cure. Why did we not prevent the industrial effluents at the source? Why did we not treat the effluents? Why did we not take loans and given support to the industrialists who are anyway doing some good, but they wanted to save some money in the name of non-effluent treatment and maybe adjustments in GSTs and so on, just to rise up their profit margins. So, source correction is the most important thing here. And as another prominent member on the podium has also said, the role of the people, the role of the citizens. Yes, unfortunately, the role of the citizen has been reduced to voting once in 5 years. And we, having some element of influence and other penetration capabilities with the governments also, we find it very hard to convince them and to make them understand some of the very core basic fundamentals of transformation that is wanted. And to add up a few more things, sufficient work on rainwater harvesting, then percolation tanks, and not playing with the lakes that were already there, and also the kind of on the river basis, the kind of infiltrations that we have done already, encroachments that we have done already. So these are all the things that we already know. And would WRI and the wonderful members here and we as part of the business community and the social community and also the citizens, can we all come together and bring about a new phase of change for which I'm absolutely available, and so I think everybody here is ready for that. Yes, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. It was really insightful. My question here is on a theme that's a little bit away probably from the central theme, but it's been alluded to across these 2 days. So we've talked about youth and the role they can play. Some of you have talked about initiatives at schools. So given that there is so much expertise and experience on this panel, diverse, I was curious to understand, where do you think academic institutions stand today in their contribution to sustainable development or climate resilience? Can they play a more central role? We work for a while with schools and universities, and still we taking, projects to them and saying, hey, do you want to implement this? But do you see them having a more central role? What capacities or partnerships need to be formed for that? I was very curious to hear your views. Thank you.
First of all, that's a great question. And incidentally, this T-shirt I'm wearing is actually a youth-based activity that we do, with our, it's called a thesis competition, that we organize every year, and we select around 20 students, to kind of undertake a thesis on river-related aspects. Right? But talking about, so this is not accidental, this is on purpose. So, talking about the role of academics, and I think that's a very good point that you highlighted, because, in my view, the academics, and I have been an academic, for a large part of my career. I used to teach at the Asian Institute of Technology in Thailand, before joining NIUA. But I see that, there is a very vital role for academics, in whatever discussions we are doing. And this is to plug existing knowledge gaps. So every city, there are certain knowledge gaps. There are areas that require a bit of thinking, that require a bit of mulling over. So academics can actually play that role. But what I often found, and I think now that I'm on the other side of the table, what I used to do, and what was always instructed or directed to us, was we had a very focused approach on publications. Right? It's a very publication-driven approach. Whether or not it meets the needs of cities or not, that's secondary. But in the academic circle, and I'm sure if there are any people here from IITs or any academic institute, it's publish or perish, right? That's the thing that we go with. But I think that needs to be revisited. It is not only a question of publishing, but publishing relevant stuff. That is actual. That may lead to some actionable, actions on the ground in so many ways, right? So if that kind, if that matchmaking is done, then I see great potential for academia to be involved here. I think my colleague has something here.
I just wanted to share a very interesting observation. So when we were teaching organic farming to the children in the DMC schools, now a lot of children would come to me and say, there are red ants on this plant. How can we kill them? Okay, and surprisingly, this is something that a lot of people ask me. I've got red ants on my vegetable plant, how can I kill them? But when I told them that when you turn the leaf of the vegetable plant, you will see that there are tiny little eggs. And these are eggs of the aphids. Aphids are the bad insects. And actually the red ants are eating the eggs of those aphids. Okay, now this was a tiny little thing which I told the students, and this was sometime in December. I had an opportunity to interact with them again, and they had gone for their summer vacations and then they came back. 7 months later, they remember that the red ants are useful for their plants. So I don't know on a macro level how academics can contribute to sustainability, but this is a real life example that I've seen myself. Thank you.
I want to respond to this very quickly. So I'm from very skill and entrepreneurial industry. I'm a professor in School of Sustainability. So now academics also have taken initiative where they are talking about green skills to put at college and university levels. So we are not focusing on publications, but we are focusing on the skills, that is green skills. So we have created a school named Sustainability, and there we are training youth in these areas. So there maybe we are moving towards that. So I just want to say.
Thank you. Great insights that of course came out. Priya, in fact, you had a question on the maintenance of these green spaces that are being created. And I would quickly like to respond to that particular thing that you had put to the panelists, because I know in Gurgaon there has been, and you're embarking on your journey to take up Haryana and work there, there has been a large number of green spaces. They have the Chakarpur Wazirabad Band that has been there, the Aravali Biodiversity Park that came up, the Sikandarpur Forest that is there. Recently they are even working on the Badshahpur Canal. So there are large number of places, and especially in this in this recent rain, all these places, some of these at least, near to the Sikandarpur forest and all, didn't get flooded. So that means definitely there is an impact. Now coming to who would maintain it, so I think we need to also create some kind of an ownership. So for instance, for the Aravali Biodiversity Park, Hero MotoCorp has taken the ownership to maintain it. So MCG along with different stakeholders built that. Of course, there were partners from NGO as well, but it's Hero who has taken the responsibility. So somewhere somebody has to take an ownership of it. That's very, very important. That said, I think it's also important that a large number of projects that you are doing, if they could be like living labs where people can go and learn. So how can we really integrate, and I think I agree with this lady who had asked a question also on that we need to see how we can, keeping sustainability as a theoretical thing, which Cherry School of Advanced Studies has been doing for the last 25 years, you being one of the alumni from there. So we have been doing it a lot, but how do we really get these institutes, get into experiential learning? The new education policy talks about experiential learning, but how can we really get students to visit this? And this is something that I have been talking to Gurgaon as well, the concerned stakeholders, that you have so many green spaces in Gurgaon, but somehow we have not been able to market it well from education point of view, wherein we can get students to come there and learn. So two things I think we need to get somebody like adopt a green space program where we get people to adopt green spaces and maintain them. Like we had adopt a park program and all. And the second thing is how we can really put these into the curriculum, wherein instead of sitting in the classroom and learning, students are taken to these green spaces to learn. So these are two quick suggestions. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the esteemed panelists and your insights and examples. They were very informative to us all. My question is regarding scalability of nature-based solutions and where you envision them to take place in the mix of conventional urban planning. There seem to be a lot of ideas in terms of startups and on-ground grassroots initiatives. However, a lot of the USP of some of these nature-based solutions are their extremely localized interventions and the value they are based on how contextual they are. So when you talk about scaling them up, it might require a whole other approach, maybe a more organized approach. Maybe there's tweaking and alterations required there. So how do you sort of envisage that NBS solutions that may work in one or two contexts when you're talking about adoption at the city scale? What are your takes on that? And can it succeed? I'm not talking about tech or something which is sort of universal. I'm just talking about very tailored, localized approaches. How do you see managing that at a city-wide scale? And wouldn't that be very resource intensive? What is your take on that to anybody here?
So I think your question, which is related with the urban planning and design. So as I earlier also said that in future what we are looking for, the cities which are just urbanized or the cities which are urbanized as well as the sustainable. Sustainability in terms of the water supply, potable drinking water, having pure air to breathe, having mobility which is safe and accessible. So for this, we need to have a nature-based solution and that approach in terms of in designing stage only. So in Mumbai, what we are doing, as I have said earlier also, that in planning stage, whether it is a development plan, whether it is a development of any particular corporate or private set establishment, or whether it is the establishment of government. So we are making some things compulsory. So those are the nature-based solutions only, having the renewable energy sources at the establishment, having green cover, apart from this having wastewater treatment facility. So all these are, we are making imperative to the planning stage only. So I think these NBS solution providers and the accelerator program in large scale, it's a success only I can say. And the takeaways, if we construct them in a proper way, in a localized way, as you said, what is the requirement of the city per se, and if we mold in our requirement, and if we take community participation as well as the stakeholders engagement in that also, then I think in larger perspective it will be a success.
I think I'm just going to close and just stop with the thoughts of people, nature, and planet in mind, and just having. I hope you had good reflections, feedback from all our panelists to take back. And thank you all for being here. And please serve outside. Thank you very much. Yeah, the applications are open. What to say about that? So we just opened it. So solution providers and others, the application is open. Thank you very much.